Ya ahla sahla fikum, or hello, and welcome to the Bedouin's Coffee Corner, where we discuss initiatives, progressive movements, and change makers in the Middle East. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sabal, and I'm your host for the show. I'm so excited to have you here with us on the video component of the Bedouin's Coffee Corner on YouTube. So stay tuned for all the amazing episodes coming with video. Lama, أهلا وسهلا فيكي على the Bedouin's Coffee Corner. Before we get started, I do have to welcome you the Bedouin's Coffee Corner way, which is by virtually pouring you a cup of Arabic coffee.
I love that.
And I'm going to go ahead and pass that to you, and I can officially say, Hayaki Allah, welcome to the Bedouin's Coffee Corner.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. I was like fangirling you guys that are listening 2 seconds ago.
This is so
Lama,
sweet. We've been planning this for a minute. I'm glad we're finally doing it.
yeah, super exciting. Okay, so can you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Lama. I'm a journalist based here in Riyadh, in Saudi. I've been a journalist for about 2 years now. I don't specialize in any certain beat. I kind of do a little bit of everything, varying from politics, business, Vision 2030 initiatives. So a little bit of everything. And yeah, I have a personal passion for social media, personal finance and investment. So that's a little bit about me. I hope that's okay. I hope that's a good
Yeah,
summary.
it is a good summary. You are definitely super great at what you do as a journalist, but also you're so awesome on social media. I feel like everyone who watches your TikToks are like, they're so wholesome all the time.
I try to be
um,
honest. I do my best. I think it's just we live in a world where there's a lot of hecticness and craziness. So as much positivity as we can get, the better, I think.
for sure. So, how'd you get into journalism, Lama? I'm really like intrigued to figure out how or why because I don't really feel like there are a lot of people who are like going into journalism all the time, especially with, like the younger generation. So, how did you get into it?
It's actually interesting that you asked that question because recently a colleague of mine who's like a very well-known established journalist retired. And I asked him the same question. I said, how did you get into journalism? Did you always want to be in it? Or did you kind of just happen to stumble upon it? And he said, Dama, there's always two types of people in the world of journalism. There's people that knew from day one that they wanted to be a journalist from high school, from first year of their bachelor's degree. They knew this is what they were meant to do. And then there's people like us who kind of just stumbled into it one day and now it's their job. And
Mhm.
I'm one of those people. I studied medicine. I didn't study journalism at the slightest. I always had a passion for writing and passion for people and telling their stories, but I never truly saw myself as a journalist at a young age. But alhamdulillah, these things happen and it's just a huge blessing. When you know, you know.
For sure, I feel you on that. When you know, especially in journalism, it's like a switch moment where you're like, "Yep, this is this is what I want to do." Um, so, what has it been like being a female journalist in the Arab world? You said you're based in Riyadh. So, what has that
Mhm.
been like for you?
Honestly, it's incredible. I think there's so much opportunity and there's so much to write about. I grew up in the US my entire life, so people have this perception of the Middle East and Saudi specifically. And
Hmm.
they think that, sad to say, but people think we don't have rights or we don't have any sort of equal opportunity. And
Yeah,
that couldn't be more wrong. Once you're
for sure.
actually here and you're working here and you're seeing it, um, I have as much, if not sometimes even more opportunity than anyone else working in journalism at any other place. I think with Sardia, it's continuously growing and continuously evolving. So there's always so much to write about. There's always so much to cover, regardless of gender. I think the country does a really good job of supporting both genders. It's incredible.
It really is. And I feel like now is the time to do journalism. Like in Saudi, as you said, like it's expanding and growing, and so much is going on between Vision 2030 and other initiatives. So it's really the time to do that. That being said, what has been your biggest achievement since you've started?
Ooh, that's a tough question. That's a really tough question. I was thinking about it, but I don't know. See, alhamdulillah, I've had so many blessings in my career so far. It's just been, I think with hard work, it pays off, and it's been
Yeah.
so many blessings one after the other. If I had to choose, I would say being on a panel the closing panel for
Okay.
FII. That
Yeah.
was in, that was when I got the phone call for that. I was kind of in shock. Like me, okay, because it was a topic that's dear to my heart. I value educating, spreading awareness and educating the public without having it come at a certain cost or setting certain boundaries. Um, one thing in the U.S. I noticed is, I hate to say gatekeeping, but sometimes
Yeah.
education is like gatekept. You have to have a certain
For sure.
GPA, a certain country, a certain amount of money to even go to school. Whereas in Saudi, I know like a lot of these projects are, you don't have to pay anything. You can just come, show up, volunteer, participate. So the panel I was
Yeah.
involved in was building the future generation of leaders. And sorry if I'm talking too fast, I get excited, but
No.
equipping them with the necessary tools to succeed, hearing from different people in different sectors. So for me, I represented media and journalism, and I kind of gave my voice, and I love being able to help people learn from my mistakes and grow from them. So for me, I think that was the biggest accomplishment so far. I think it's one of the top ones for sure.
I saw you on that panel. You posted that you were doing that, and literally, like, I dropped my phone because I was so excited for you, because I love seeing, like, women in journalism, women in anything really, like, succeed and get to these points of like major milestones. And I was so, so excited that I was just like clapping. Like, I was like, go Lama. It was very
It
exciting
was
for all of
amazing.
us to watch you do that.
I was kind of like, a little secret between you and me is, so backstage we had like a pre panel discussion where they kind of,
Yeah.
they brief you on, hey, this is what's going to happen. And then we get on stage, completely different questions. Everything is completely different. So my heart sank a little bit, but
Yeah.
it was such an amazing opportunity. Genuinely, genuinely.
That's so great. That being said, what has been one of your lowest points since you started?
Lowest points. I even thought about this question before, and nothing comes to mind directly. I think there's a lot that happens in journalism in general. There's a lot of ugly that people don't see, a lot of behind the scenes that people don't see. But for me, I consider it like also a plus or like a positive, because those are the opportunities that I genuinely learn from. I think if everything goes perfectly planned, everything goes as well as I wanted with every interview, video footage, I'd never learn, I would never grow. I would just be like the status quo, same journalist.
For sure.
So I like the low point. I like the points where I sit outside for 12 hours waiting for an interview and no one
Yeah.
gives me one. Or I like, literally, or I like the points where, I don't know, where things don't necessarily go as planned. I can't think of
Right.
anything in particular.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I'm very thankful for the low points, the high stress intensity points, because that's what helps me grow.
For
I
sure.
hope that's a good answer. I don't know
Yeah, that's a great
specific.
answer. It's honest and it's true. Like, I feel like those, like stress points that we go through are actually what help us learn and develop and grow. So, very relatable. But then that leads me to think, what is your biggest fear?
Biggest fear?
Yeah.
Oh, oh. Biggest fear. Okay, are we talking like practical, or are we talking like, no, this is never going to happen?
No,
Which side?
practical, because I feel like I feel like Lama, this is never gonna happen, is like probably like really
Very
unrealistic.
creative. I have a very creative imagination. I think one that's very like realistic is maybe losing loved ones. That's not related to work, but like losing loved ones. I think that's kind of a fear of mine, and it's for everyone. And then more realistic fear, like work related, is I've had a dream like this before. Is when I wake up, like I'm in a dream, and all of a sudden someone gives me a script, pushes me on stage, and says, "Lemma, you're on in 10 seconds." I'm like, that's not gonna happen. With like no prep, research. I think that's my fear, but rarely would it ever happen. I think messing up live on camera. But then again, genuinely, I would just take it and make content out of it. I would make a video.
Yeah,
I
you'd
think it would
probably
be
make a
funny.
TikTok that'll go viral.
I would. So like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of fears, to be honest. Related, work related? No, not really.
Cool. That being said, where do you think journalism in the Middle East is heading?
I mean, like I said before, I think I'm going to speak specific to Saudi Arabia, because in the Gulf region, the GCC, this is what I've worked around. This is the atmosphere that I know. I'm seeing a growth. in so many sectors, whether it's healthcare, whether it's technology, whether it's education, that no one could have imagined. And I see us easily surpassing any other country globally. And I am very biased. I know I shouldn't be as a journalist, but I have a lot of pride of where I'm from in my country. But I genuinely see the GCC as having so much potential for journalists.
For sure, yes.
We're going to see this. We're already seeing this boom right now. There's so much to cover, regardless of what sector or what beat you're in. If you're in healthcare, there's something happening every single day in healthcare sector. If you're in business, you can literally open your door and find new businesses and new ventures,
for sure,
like bursting. So I think we're going to see a lot of potential, an insane amount of expedited growth that no one would have imagined. So there's going to be endless opportunities for journalists here.
Yeah. Lama, on a more like lighter note, I love your TikToks. They're so funny and genuine. I was telling you before we started recording that I watch your TikToks and I feel like they're just so wholesome and cute. Walk me through your creative process, because I feel like some things you're literally like, we watch it and we're like, yeah, so relatable, Lama, So what's that like for you?
I'm honestly, to be very honest with you, like I don't like to sugarcoat things. I'm very simple. I'm very straight to the point. So I don't want to tell you that like, no, I go on like a board and I just start doing thought processes and strategic approaches. No, it's more like I just like being myself. And I think what really works well with social media applications is someone being genuine and honest and just being themselves. I think that really it conveys well and it really connects with people. It really resonates with them. So with me, I don't have a specific like methodology for video creation. I kind of pull out a camera and I talk, and some people like it, some people don't. I mean, I just try to be myself. I try to be genuine. At times I do like think of skits, and then I'm like, oh, this is so funny. This would be so funny to film. And then I pitch it to someone. They're like, Lama, this is the dorkiest thing ever. No one would ever enjoy this. But like, I still post it because I'm just like, for me, I still post it because it makes me laugh. If it's making me laugh or it's making my mom laugh because my mom loves my videos, it's like it's working. It's doing its job. Like my goal is genuinely just to spread positivity and make people laugh. And I've had a lot of questions recently with people asking, Lama, why don't you connect your journalistic like work life with TikTok? Times I want to, just to spread educational and correct information, but then other times I really want to keep it light. I want people to have an outlet, to laugh and just turn off their brain for 2 seconds and just be simple, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it comes across through the content you make. It's so, again, as I said previously, wholesome and it just sits well with everyone. Like, I feel like you watch it and you're not like, this isn't genuine. I think one of my favorite ones was when you were like, I go every morning to see my barista because it makes me happy. And I was like, oh, okay, that's so cute. Like, very relatable, right? Everyone has that like person in the morning that they like go to.
Yeah, literally. It's fun. And it's just, I don't know. I like to spread positivity. And when I see people like that, like the barista, who's genuinely so fun, so nice every morning, I'm like, Celeste, this is a part of my routine. Like, I'm going to go to work with such an upbeat attitude like this. So, yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Now, back to journalism. What's your number one piece of advice to an Arab woman who wants to get into journalism but are afraid of the pre-assumptions about them in international media?
Okay. That's a good question. No, I love it. I love it. So, like I said, Western media is always going to have a perception of us in the Middle East, regardless of what we try to do or what we try to portray or convey with any kind of interviews or writing that we do. My advice is to them is just to be honest, be fierce, be strong. Never second guess yourself. Never be concerned of what any kind of westernized media outlet's going to think of you. Regardless of what we do, regardless of what we say, they're always going to have this perception unless they physically come here and see it themselves and they change their minds, which I've had friends do. I mean, I grew up in like the deep South. I've had friends say, Lama, why are you going to Saudi Arabia to ride camels? And just very ignorant comments. And I brought them here and their world was changed. I mean, they saw something so different. So my advice is something more, I guess, practical is never miss a deadline. Never, ever, ever miss a deadline. That's your bread and butter. You have to be on time. Be honest, okay? Never twist any words, never twist any quotes. be very straightforward, and be kind and be considerate. Most importantly, be considerate, I think, because
Yeah,
they might not think of it this way, but their voice has such an impact. You know, they might think, hey, I don't have a lot of readership, I don't have a lot of viewership, but the things you write, the things you say, regardless if they affect you directly, they will affect someone else anywhere around the world, and it can have a domino
yeah,
effect.
definitely.
So be honest, be considerate, and be fierce. That's my advice.
I love that. That's awesome. You need to print merch with like a hoodie or something. I'll definitely get one. First order from me. um, okay, what are three things you wish someone told you before you started and you got into journalism?
Oof. Okay. Before I actually got into journalism, a few of my mentors like sat me down. They're like, Lama, there's some things you need to know. So thankfully, I got the whole spiel. I mean, that's the best way to say it. I got the whole run
Yeah.
through. But things I wish I would have known is, on like a lighter note, that's a little funny, is like say goodbye to your social life. You will have no social life. Uh, your job is, I mean, your life, genuinely, and I love it like that. But on the plus side of that, I have made so many wonderful connections and friends through work. And then the second piece of advice is never underestimate the power of networking. Sometimes people think of the word networking in a negative connotation, like in a negative way, like, oh, I'm just trying to estafette or like get something from someone,
Yeah.
which is not always true. Networking, that's what's going to get your foot in the door. That's what's going to get you into those interviews. So never underestimate that power. Third piece of advice. Don't let the stress consume you. I guess that's what I would have wanted to know. I think my first year in journalism, I was just power, 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 power. And I had a motto that's it's very terrible. I don't want to say it to like, so no one else takes it, but I'm going to say it, but I'm going to say like, don't take my motto. It was, I'll sleep when I'm dead. That was literally my motto for the first year of journalism, which is terrible. Alhamdulillah, I accomplished a lot of great things, but I think know when to take time off, know when to relax, network, 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 have good connections. And yeah, I think that's pretty much my advice.
I love that. Okay, my last question for you is what's your favorite book? Because I feel like we can tell so much about a person by their favorite book.
Um, I thought about this one too because I love to read. I've always had a passion for reading. So when I was younger, I had a passion for novels. I love Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice, I think, is number one. It's up there. I think the character, I can't even speak. The character development is absolutely beautiful. The detailing, just the storytelling is just so, so amazing. So that's always been a favorite. It's a comfort book of mine and a comfort movie. If I'm like ever stressed, I open it, read a few chapters before bed, and I'm good to go. Or, yeah, yeah, tell me.
You're gonna laugh.
do you have do you have
Look at
something?
the spine of mine. That's the
No, I
spine
love
of my.
that. I literally love that.
Yeah.
I love
This
that.
it's like dead. It's like it just sits here on my shelf dying because of how many times I've just.
You enjoyed it. That's how you know you enjoyed it. I've ran through so many copies of mine. I've moved a lot growing up, so every time I move, I would buy a new copy and it would just disappear. But no, it's one of my favorite books.
What's your other one?
And then my other one is completely different. They're opposing genres, completely opposites. So I love finance. Like when I turned, I think 18, I had like an immediate passion for personal finance and investment. Um, so it'd probably be the Intelligent Investor. And I loved it because it was so complicated. It challenged me in so many ways that other books haven't ever. And I'm not like ashamed to say it took me a long time to get through. Genuinely, it took me a long time to get through. I had to keep Googling terms, I had to keep Googling concepts. But once you actually read it through a few times, like three times, I think, you'll get the hang of it and then you'll appreciate its value. Because when I first started investing in the stock market, I was very emotionally driven. I made trades that I would say, "Oh my god, I'm panicked. Lama, khalas, you have to sell. You have to sell." Terrible. So it was almost like bordering like unhealthy trading. It was not strategic. So that book kind of taught me to get control of that, and it's one of my favorite finance books. So like Pride and Prejudice and The Intelligent Investor, they're like complete opposites, but they're up there. They're up there.
That's so cool. Those were
Oh,
all my questions for you today, Lama. I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you so much for being
thank you.
here.
Thank you so much. Honestly, it was such a pleasure. I was a little nervous. I was like, okay, Lama, don't speak too quickly because I've been known to speak very quickly. But yeah, you're a wonderful interviewer, and I'm glad we
Oh my God,
finally
thank
sat down.
you.
You
Me
really, you are.
too.
It's a casual